Good Friday morning, and welcome to Ice Age TV, the internal combustion engine age YouTube channel that talks about all my cars and trucks and motorcycles and SUVs, the dogs, the troubles, the attitudes, the days, and my goodness gracious, wow, right? The madness. Hey, good Friday morning there to all the people who watch my channel. And as always, thanks so much for tuning in to the Iceman's talk and conversations in the morning. I really do appreciate those that do, on a consistent basis, watch my morning conversations. I really think that's cool and very supportive. I just love to talk. I like to start the day off with ideas and views and thoughts. And that works for some, and for some others it doesn't. But you know what? That's all good, because I just want to keep my YouTube channel going, knowing that I'm enjoying what I do. And I like just to present ideas that maybe relate to you. So we take a word of the day and we try to make it the car talk, but then we turn it into the state of times talk. So if you think about this past week, beautiful Friday morning, but it's cold up here. It's gone back to the winter months. It is chilly. It's nippy. I'll be out on the job today, crawling on my hands and knees, as I do usually most of my life. And so once again, I try to take a word and run with that and try to entertain you as my subscribers or viewers. And I try to get creative. And I think sometimes people like it and sometimes you don't. But if we think about the week in review, Monday was the refund conversation due to the Z06 Corvette. Tuesday was the attack conversations. Wednesday was the sleep conversations. Thursday was unhappiness conversations. And I thought, wow, what do I bring to the table on Friday? And I thought, this is a dangerous one. Dangerous one is, let's call it the cheaters. The cheaters conversation. Did you just hear me? The cheaters. And wow, we could spend forever talking on that type of topic. I mean, oh my gosh. I mean, sincerely, the cheaters conversation and all of our aspects of life in this physical world, everything around us. Oh my gosh. Infinite stories from each and every one of you to me and them. What are you doing, dogs? What are you gonna do? Get you into the shop here. The Z06 has been completed on the work, and it had the fluids changed that we felt were critical for the moment. Car is apparently fine. So all those codes, people are saying, what were all those codes? I don't know. Apparently the codes are gone. So apparently, like the service guy was saying, when these cars sit this long and the batteries go dead and computers, he said sometimes these things just throw stuff at. It's just a glitch in the system. So the car's in good shape per se. And I haven't done anything on the front splitter because I have 7 days to return that car. And part of me was like, why wouldn't I just, Ginger's getting so smart. She's getting upstairs before the troublemaker gets up there. Go on. Get up here. Go on. And so my thoughts are, why go start getting the splitter changed out if I end up giving back the car? Because I don't know, until I really got this car into the Chevy dealer, started hearing their own views outside of Carvana's, I could have very easily found out this car really does have major problems, and it's going to be too much money to maintain it and get rid of it. Because Corvettes are notorious for having issues. I mean, that's why they're so expensive. Whether you realize it or not, a lot of these sports cars are expensive, and you think to yourself, but it's such a smaller platform, smaller material, and you got to say to yourself, why is it so expensive? Well, it's because they have a higher rate of failures. That's a known fact for the Corvettes. The Corvettes have to factor in the amount of warranty work and repairs of doing these Corvettes. So you pay more money up front to help them put the back end money in to make sure they can keep on producing the car. I mean, that is a fact from years ago. Could have changed more in recent times. So the cheaters, wow, like I say, the cheaters conversation, that is all over the place on so many different aspects of our life. Everybody I know, I can pretty much just about assure you, majority of people, have you ever been cheated on? I mean, what's the biggest challenge in relationships? From just dating somebody to being married to somebody. I mean, it's a cheating. It's huge. It's mankind. But think about this. This will get the women all riled up. There aren't many women that watch my channel, but boy, the select few that get them riled up on this Friday morning. You know why? Because think this through. If you read the Bible, who was the first cheater? Was it Adam or was it Eve? Ooh, oh man. Think that through. What did the serpent The serpent convinced who? Adam or Eve to take a bite of the fruit of the apple that God told Adam and Eve not to take the bite of the apple. You know the Bible, the readings, you get all that right there. Get a different hat on. All my hats right here in the shop, and sometimes I just kind of get too much going on, and I forget what's what. I don't get my hat. I get down there in Florida, so excuse me for the delay in me shuffling my hat around to get my hat. Now, look at that. Yeah, I get a lot of different look, right? So does that go a little better? Or should I have my Screaming Eagle hat on? Do we do the morning change out on the look of the let's try this one here now. I know you guys are probably like, Jesus Christ, we don't want to see you changing all your clothes. So let's see how, yeah, kind of like that one. I'm the Screaming Eagle one. How about that idea? So, better put this one up because Kiefer will probably grab it off my counter and start eating it. Yeah, that dog eats everything. So anyway, so yeah, when did the cheating start? Well, in some ways, Eve. Oh my gosh, you ladies, you women, you instigate guys, and oh my gosh, it'd get deep and heavy. Am I going down that rabbit hole? No. Ain't no way. Yeah, I'll leave you guys on the other side of this camera to have that conversation. I don't think you will, personally. Anyways, so the cheating has been around since mankind has been around. And when you think of the cars, I think about the Volkswagen diesels, because I had them. I had the Volkswagen diesels. And everybody knows the diesel cheat. Everybody knows about, you go back to like 2010, 11, 12, whatever year it was, when Volkswagen got caught with its pants down with the Bosch engineering company that was misleading EPA emission standards. Meaning that if you owned a Volkswagen diesel, and those things were great little gas miser vehicles, great bang for the buck. I had them. I had the Golfs, I had the Beetle. I even had the Touareg diesel. In some ways, I wish they'd never sell that. Then I even had the Jeep Echo diesel, Grand Cherokees. Great. They were overall. I even had the Ram 1500 Echo diesels. I had a bunch of those. I've had all the diesels, and I was always kind of a diesel guy. Always had the Ram Cummins motors back in the 90s, and so even had the Duramax. Now I got the Power Stroke. I've had them all. I've had the International 7.3. Now I got the Ford. So anyways, going back to the Volkswagen, it came to be known that when you went to the emission station to have your car inspected for emissions, for the proper amount of tailpipe carbon footprint that's spewing out of that diesel vehicle, and anybody knows that follows the diesel vehicle, you smell the damn fuel. You smell it. It can make you nauseous. It can make you sick. I mean, it's not a clean burning fuel. They've changed that, but you go back to the early days, you go back to the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, even the 2000 years, you know, you'd be driving down the road and you follow some diesel truck or Volkswagen, and you're like, this is just disgusting. The coal burners, people like to go by, people on bicycles and do a coal burn on them or something. You know, I mean, there's so many people are into this. The coal burner, hey, I wonder who's in my family likes that idea. Straight piping. So for Volkswagen, Porsche, basically the German boys, they got hammered because of their cars with the Bosch engineering. And there's a lot more to that, I'm sure, than I know of every detailed aspect. But I think Bosch was part of that. And unfortunately, the CEO of Volkswagen and Porsche, those guys went to prison. I mean, this is radical stuff. That somehow somebody figured out that when you take the Volkswagen to get the car, or the Audi, or the Porsche, any of the German diesel motors in the cars, when we went to the emission station, the computer knew once it was plugged into that emission testing to be a really good, observant, very nice engine and not emit or spew much of emissions out of compliance for what it's supposed to be rated at and how it was designed. But unbeknownst to the emission inspector in the government, the computers were misleading, cheating the actual real performance of the vehicle. Because once the vehicle got out on the road or got away from the emissions station, the computer recalibrated itself and it spewed more carbon footprint, more dirty fuel, dirty air into the environment. And basically, I think internally, somebody ratted out that the software guys, engineer guys, are deliberately doing this to try to keep the fuel mileage at a respectable amount of fuel mileage and power and expenses. But in the end, it was a huge fiasco that literally ruined Volkswagen in so many ways. Volkswagen to this day is still, I think, paying for the fines worldwide of what they deliberately did. I mean, that's a true story. They're having to build out electric vehicle infrastructure of charging stations. And then, once again, key people went to prison, went to jail. So the cheaters for the German automotive group, it was severe, very, very bad. Hey, if you watch my channel, I got motivated last night and finally cleaned up these cars. Oh my gosh, it's a project to really stay on top of these cars. I talk about it all the time, but I got the Gold Rush all cleaned up. Got the Dark Horse cleaned up, but boy, oh boy, parking the car out in the driveway, came to realize that Mac and I did not have very good vision. The left exhaust is so further down that right exhaust, it's bad. I can't believe how bad that is. I can't believe when he pulled it off the damn rack, neither one of us saw that. So that's not encouraging, is it? And then here's the plum crazy. So I had a great time, cleaned all the cars up, perfect weather. But the next challenge for me is the pollen. So once the spring really starts to come to be here, everything gets coated in pollen, and it's just borderline. You know, you clean the car, only to clean the car. And that's the challenge for me in this really open environment, is all the debris that's constantly coming into my garage. It's just a never-ending battle. I know I can put car covers on. You know what? Whatever. Who cares? I really don't care. I used to be so picky. I'm not lying to you. So many years ago, I was adamant about cleaning my cars. Oh my gosh, it was bad. I mean, you have no idea that I used to just spend all my time. There's a bird. Look at that. He's got a little twig. He's wanting to go up there and build his little nest. He's probably going to the back side of my barn. He'll start doing the trail. Even the smoker here, but the pigeons aren't here. If I can keep the pigeons out, I've done okay. There they are, right up there. See that? See, they get into these soffits, and it's about impossible. It's a barn. This is a barn. It's a barn. I mean, how am I going to just seal everything off? I mean, very challenging. But anyways, yeah, it's nothing new, right? So, yeah, those cheaters. So for the diesel thing, that was a huge eye-opener for the automotive industry, and which even got the governing bodies to get even more aggressive on what these manufacturers are doing. Even to the point, Cummins, I'm pretty sure Cummins has a major lawsuit that's ongoing, that's being challenged for their diesel engines. I'm pretty sure that's going on. I mean, I haven't really followed it, but somebody else, I'm sure, may have more information and detail on that. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that Cummins has been caught with cheating on their emissions. I mean, so it's all about the cheat. And more than ever, it's a focal point of these ICE vehicles. But at the same time, it's pretty to me, it's just crazy in how the cheaters are treated on one aspect, but a cheater then is treated another way in a different aspect. And what I mean by that is you go to the electric vehicles, it's being, it's come to be, I mean, I don't know, I'm reading articles, I can't tell you if it's 100% factual, but what I'm reading is that Elon Musk, the Tesla cars, the computers manipulate the range of these electric vehicles. So you're told you buy a Tesla car, and it's going to go 260 miles, 280 miles, whatever it may be. And what they're saying is that you read different people that own these cars, and others that own them could reach out and respond that some of it's true, some of it's not. But the whole point is the engineers, or something's being disclosed, that something changes in the software, the computer that initially shows the car. You walk up to this electric Mustang Mach-E, that initially when you take off in the car, you're getting all this range out of it. But then as the car gets more into the use of the battery, all of a sudden the battery starts using more energy than the computer really is acknowledging you that it does, or something like that. So it's kind of it's like the EV cheat. It's the electric vehicle cheat, where the manufacturers are promoting range, but the range isn't really what it really is. And that even for the Tesla owners, people have reached out and said, yeah, it's weird how my car, it looks like it's going to go so far, but then like halfway through the battery cycle, it radically starts to change very quickly. So what's that all about? I don't know. I'm not a Tesla guy. I'm not on the forums, but I think that's something that's going on. And then they just had a really good review here on the truck trend of the F-150, the Cybertruck, and the Rivian truck, and they did a review on which truck is the best and the range. And it's very interesting to look at the range because for the most part, they did highway driving and back road driving. But the range is off by truck trends anywhere from 30% to 26%. So each vehicle, the range that you say you're going to get, once you go in real world driving and you mix it up, and they're saying a 50 mile per hour average speed of the vehicles, no towing, no extra weight, the range decreases anywhere from 26% to up to 30%, depending on which vehicle we're talking about. So you lose that range. And then they did a towing review with a 3,200 pound trailer, Aerostream trailer, maybe it's 3,700 pounds. And I was very intrigued to read about that because I did a towing review on my channel. I have a real towing review on my channel. And so it's showing that these vehicles would go about 150 miles. But the speeds were like 50 miles an hour. So it's kind of like, well, if you get on the real highway, if you follow my channel and you look back from June of 2022, I have a whole detailed video of me being on my first F-150 Lightning truck going to Tennessee and coming back. And once you get out on an open highway and you're doing the 70 mile an hour posted speed limit and you're pulling this trailer behind you, no, they radically, you're down to maybe 0.8 miles per kilowatt. Yes, it gets radical very quickly, maybe even 1 mile per kilowatt. So if you've got a 134 kilowatt battery, it's 134 miles at best. But the reality is, it's always about finding the charging station. So that's where it gets, to me, misleading. Let's just say that your electric truck does, I mean, first of all, is anybody going to drive 50 miles, 60 miles an hour down a 70 mile an hour highway and your truck pulling a camper that's only 3,700 pounds? I don't think so. They're going to probably be doing the speed limit. Otherwise, you're going to be constantly being dragging the traffic with you, and that just isn't a good decision. But even if you do that, it doesn't matter. You're going to have to be looking for a charging station about 100 miles, maybe 110, because you can't go 150 miles and then there's no charging stations around you. So that was a challenge for me going to Tennessee, was I had to pull over about every 80 miles because of the way the charging infrastructure is on 81. There wasn't a charging station every other exit. The charging stations were spread out, sometimes 40, 50, 80 miles. Just depends. It's changing. But the challenge is, it's the refueling. But that was really interesting, was to watch the charging times. And once again, this is to me kind of where it's the cheat. It's cheated, because if you're not really in depth to these electric vehicles, in some ways you're being cheated if you go buy one, if you don't really know. And that's why I went out and bought electric vehicles. A lot of people watch my channel, like, you're such a fool to go buy these electric vehicles. In all sincereness, I wanted to buy these electric vehicles to learn about the electric vehicles. That's why I bought them. I figure if I have them, own them firsthand, I'm going to get the true reality of what they are. Never realizing that the values of them would be just beyond believable. Did I feel cheated? Yeah, I still feel cheated. The amount of money I spent for these cars, that their values tanked, sure. I mean, I'm not crying the blues. I mean, yeah, it's my choice. I didn't have to do that. But the point is, when it comes to these charging situations, it's all over the place. And that's where it gets, to me, the cheating aspect. Motor Trend magazine, or Truck Trend, Motor Trend, same company, they're showing on how in 15 minutes you can charge your truck. And you hear this. I hear people, oh, 15 minutes my car's charged. Right. You charged your car, but you didn't charge it all the way up. So if you have this Ford Lightning truck that has 320 mile range on it per se, 330, 320, depending on how you're driving back roads, stop and go traffic, a lot of variables there. It doesn't get that if you're open highway all day long. Point is, if I go to a charging station and I've already used 80% of the battery and I need to put at least 50 to 60% back, it's going to be more than 15 minutes. So a 15-minute charge is like 50 to 60, maybe 80 miles of recharge. So it's very interesting to look at the graphs that they have where it shows when you actually have to recharge the truck back to 80% or more capacity. So when you're out in the field, whether you realize it or not, to protect these vehicles from catching on fire, the manufacturer deliberately makes sure the charging in that vehicle deliberately manages the power being pushed into it so it doesn't overflow and create a fire in the battery, making it too hot. So it slows down the charging. There's a charging curve. So sure, the first 15 minutes, this thing has full blown. It's like you doing a sprint across the yard. You know, you can do your 60-yard sprint, like, yeah, but you start doing a 100-yard sprint, 200-yard sprint, yeah, that curve starts to hit you real quick. So it's the same thing with pumping this energy into these trucks that are electric, cars electric. The first initial surge is very quick, very rapid, and it won't harm the battery per se. After that, the whole charging system starts to say, whoa, 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 slow down. I can't drink this much. I can't drink this fast. It's like you're trying to drink a keg of beer. You have to slow it down. So what it turns into, if you really want to get that full charge back on the Ford F-150 Lightning truck, it's 2 hours. Yeah, it's over. It's 134 or 139 minutes. That's 2 hours and what? What is that? 2 hours, 19 minutes? Is that right? Wow. The Cybertruck is not that long. So the Cybertruck and Rivian, they do a better job of getting charged, but those are an hour, about an hour and a half, just depending on what your how low you are. So on the real road travel in this Ford F-150 truck, you go to charge it and you want to go long distance, I'm going to say you're going to be doing hour charges, very conservative. You're going to be going, I would guess, about 200 miles, and then we're going to put 200 miles of range back into the truck. You're going to be at the location for a good hour. Ask me how I know. Some people may challenge this, and that's fine, because I've had people that own Teslas that have reached out on my channel or a personal email, and they've like, I have these and they work and blah, blah, blah. And so I don't know. I'm not the expert. I'm just sharing with you what I'm reading from Truck Trend magazine on all three different vehicles. So which one do you think won? Well, I can tell you the one that won was the Rivian. The one that lost was the Ford F-150 truck. But the Cybertruck came in second. Cybertruck, they really talk about how it's just a big truck, how the interior, the A-pillars, the rear view camera capability, it's just a big truck. So like, boy, oh boy, if you're not really in tune with that Cybertruck, you don't really know. And I remember seeing that with one of the YouTube guys that got that Cybertruck and did a really good review of it. And he talked about that. He talked about how it was such a big truck seen over the hood, the back end. So it's very challenging. But as far as the technology goes, it's a really good truck. And it's priced, believe it or not, within reason of a decked out Rivian and a decked out Ford F-150. So it isn't like the Cybertruck, the $200,000 truck. It's a $100,000+ truck. Rivian, same thing. But the Rivian got the top honors. But it's kind of, what's interesting about that to me on that, is I feel they cheated you as a person reading that article. And what I mean by that is, they didn't talk much about the interior of that truck. I have driven the Rivian, and I'm sure I'll irritate some. I did. When I did a Rivian kind of short review of driving that truck, to me it was very complicated because I wasn't a Tesla guy, and the Rivian has a lot of similar features as the Tesla cars. But when I got in that truck, I was just taken back on how it didn't have the luxuries of all the cup holders, didn't have the luxuries of the side pockets to hold all your tools. It didn't have the luxury of the back seat being very roomy. In fact, to me, it was very challenging to get in and out of that back seat. I didn't like how it was all electronic. Everything's electronic. If the battery's dead, how do you get out of the car? So I didn't like the retractable rear bed thing that I've heard has many problems. So, but I think it's a really cool vehicle. I think it's an astonishing truck. But is it a truck? That's where I sound like, I don't know if you really call it, because it's such, to me, it's the SUV with a bed on it. That's kind of the way I look at that vehicle, even though it does incredible things. So anybody has a Rivian, not here by any means, wanting to come across that you don't have a great vehicle, you do. But I just think that on the Truck Trend, they mention nothing of the interior accommodations. To me, I think that that's a smaller platform vehicle. And if you've got a family of 5, I just can't see you and the wife and the 3 kids being comfortable in that Rivian. I can't see it. I think you'd be more comfortable in the Ford F-150 or the Cybertruck. So on the cheating aspect of that, right? So what else have you feel like you've been cheated on? I'm sure so many people here feel like you've been cheated on the price gouging of cars, on how during the pandemic, the auto industry more than ever abused the policy of making profits off of you by cheating the hell out of you, of having you buy very expensive cars. That now, today, all you hear, I mean, it's beyond believable how many YouTubers out there that are just pounding their fists on how the car industry is now 2008, 2009, worst. I mean, is this factual? Can anybody on my channel please reach out to me and start telling me stories of your friends and family, your colleagues, your neighbor, whoever, that everything is gone to dire straits, and you've witnessed the rollback truck showing up and taking their car. You've witnessed them losing their job. I mean, these dire straight YouTubers get thousands, 50, 60, 70, 80, 200,000 hits on their channel. And they're preaching to you that you've been cheated like never before. I mean, that's the underlying message to you as a person, whether it does or not. These YouTubers are saying, hey, guess what? You've been cheated of life. Yes, you have. You've been cheated of life. Is that the underlying message of what's going on in today's media more than ever? Is this what drives people to go to do the smash and grab? I mean, sincerely, what is the underlying message that creates people to believe that they've been cheated in life, that they now have the right to go steal things? That's a huge problem right now. So for you as an individual, you've been cheated like never ever seen, because you bought that expensive RV. It's not worth much right now. If you went out and bought that expensive car, it's not worth much right now. Ask me how I know. If you went out and bought that expensive electric vehicle, it's not worth much right now. If you went out and got caught up in the Mopar that, oh, it's the last run, you bought the last run so-called, Super B or Challenger, whatever it may be, you got cheated big time, because that car is not worth anything. It's worth probably half. People are like, no way. Okay, make a phone call to your dealership. I guarantee right now, this $73,000 MSRP Super B plumb crazy, trade it back in, they're going to give me a figure of probably $48,000 at best. At best, maybe. I bet you it'd be 45, 42. Why? Because now the manufacturers, from all the doomer gloomers, they're in dire straits. You're reading, I'm seeing YouTube videos. I don't even watch them. I just see the highlights. And all I see is that for Stellantis, the Jeep, the Dodge, the Ram, they are in such bad shape. It's beyond believable. Yes, Jim Farley, Ford, so at the end of the day, the manufacturers, what people said and preached, is their own demise is created by themselves, because they cheated everybody of charging them way too much money for everything. And now you can say, well, what's going on in the economy? Why are the interest rates so high and are still high? And inflation, in some ways, is still high. Is it? I don't know. I mean, the car market definitely is adjusting to the inflation, because the car market prices definitely are adjusting and coming down. Housing prices, you're hearing my coffee. It's not my rocks in my head. Housing, I don't know. You go to these guys that live in Florida, they got some real key real estate guys, and they're swearing up and down that the real estate market is going to be worse than you've ever seen. That you're going to be, and that people are going to be losing their homes. Foreclosures, left and right. Yeah, who knows that story, right? Well, go to watch my channel. You know that story. But I just told you that if you caught that word, you'll know that story. Yeah, I can relate with all that stuff. So the cheaters of what? The cheaters from the city administration? I mean, if you go to, this is where it gets heavy and deep, which I won't even do it. I won't go down the rabbit hole in that one. But if you talk about January 6th, if you talk about the 2020 election, oh my gosh. Yeah, where does that all go? What's the key word you probably hear out of some people's mouths? Cheater. Cheater, 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 cheater. That's all you're going to hear. That's all we've heard the rhetoric of, and that's what's that concern. It's always a constant concern. But here's the biggest concern of you as an individual going to buy a car. You feel like you're going to be cheated. And especially if you're a woman. A woman, I can assure you, has more of the feeling, if she goes to a car dealership to have her car worked on, she has to go to a car dealership to have her car, buy a car, she's going to feel like, because she's a woman, that she's going to be cheated on. That they're going to abuse the situation, because they'll think that the woman doesn't know much about a car, doesn't understand the mechanics. Who hasn't heard these stories? Take your car to the car dealership, They put it in service, and oh, you need this, you need that, you need that, you need blah, 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 blah. Who hasn't heard these stories? And then the man gets on the phone and calls the service department and goes, what are you talking about? This is my wife's car. What are you talking about? And all of a sudden that, well, the dire straits of the car, does that start to change into, well, we were just trying to help your wife out and make sure the car is maintained properly and blah, 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 yeah, right. Yeah. Does anyone know these stories? And then for sure, you go buy a car and the one negotiation, I mean, I've done it. I've witnessed it. I'll never forget me getting ready to buy a Raptor 37 in January 2022, and I had a deal done. They were wanting 25 grand over, 30 grand over, and down at Coons Sterling Ford, I'll never forget going in. I negotiated a very good deal. And I was such good friends with the GM down there, and he was like, look, can you just help me out? Let me have this deal, and I'll get you another one at the deal we just negotiated at. And I was like, you know what? I can do that. It's not the biggest thing in the world. And it was still very pricey. So even the negotiated deal I had, it was still really, in my eyes, too much money. So I was like, that's fine. And I've said this on my YouTube channel many times. So I walked out the door. Guy that was waiting on me to pull out of the deal, he walks in and he pays a ton more money for that truck that I negotiated for far less. I've talked about this on my channel. I had a Ram TRX black truck, black Ram TRX, last year with an ongoing financial deal that we were having to work through to get the bank to buy the deal. So I went from a Friday deal to a Saturday deal to a Monday deal, and I had the vehicle at under MSRP. And during the weekend, on a Sunday, some guy came in and he paid, I believe, it was either 13 grand over or 20 grand over of what I negotiated. So for me, it's like, dude, you got cheated. I would be so interesting if that person ever caught my YouTube channel. I was always hoping in some ways that person would have caught my YouTube channel and said, wow, I saw that truck. That's my truck. I saw you driving. I saw you negotiating. What are you telling me? How much you say you got that check for 97 and I paid $120? Is that what you just told me? Yes, I just told you that, sir or ma'am. You got cheated. You got the wool pulled over your eyes. Wow. Who doesn't hear these stories? And I'm sure some people on my channel are like, yeah, Mr. Iceman, that happens to you too. Yeah, in some ways it does. Remember that nice Harley Davidson CVO 2023 Road Glide I bought, the Platinum, that I was so hesitant to buy, that then I went ahead and bought the damn thing, and only to, in the end, to take a huge loss on it? Yeah, does anybody know those stories? Yeah, and now I got a Fast Johnny back. Yeah, right. Yeah, the list goes on and on and on. So you feel cheated, and that's the challenge in our life, is you go to work, and you do your due diligence, and you do great, and you work your ass off, and you try to do everything, that you buy the book, and you try to be a good employee, and only in the end, you feel you got cheated because you didn't get that raise, you didn't get that promotion. Who doesn't know these stories? I had one of the subscribers reach out yesterday, which is so cool, and he said, your unhappiness video is pretty cool. It relates to me because I get what you said about sell your soul. He didn't say it in his words, but he said, I get your message on sell your soul, and I'm leaving the company that I work for the reasons that you're talking about, because people literally go work for people that are just nasty ass people. And I'm like, why do you continue to work for these people? Why do you support the system? If people would pull back and quit supporting these nasty ass people that have these high ranking positions, they wouldn't have a position. I mean, wow. Right. You figure that out? Yeah. So who's another story? I mean, I've told the story about being a youth basketball coach. Oh my gosh. In youth sports, do you know how much cheating goes on? I mean, it's radical. It is I mean, I never knew this. I mean, I've got a daughter, the boys' side, holy crow. If you're actually a youth coach in any type of sport, especially on the boys' side, don't take it the wrong way for the girls, but on the boys' side, oh my gosh, the amount of cheating that goes on in those sports, where the rules and regulations have to be written by the leagues to hammer on how they try to draft teams. Yes, you have drafting for your I mean, I used to go and have to draft girls. You did a roster. You could pick who was a better player, good player, not so good a player, because you had tryouts and you had them based on averages and scores, and you knew who to pick. But some would fake their actual performance. Yes, this goes on. So a girl or a boy would not do that well in their actual evaluation to purposely be on a low list to be picked by like a friend's father's team. Yes, this goes on. I haven't had such a bad experience on me coaching when we're going to the playoffs where I really had a bad situation. And I even lost one of my assistants, and there's one of my friends, lady, she was so mad at what happened, she took her girl out of youth basketball sports, because in the youth sports, you want to be able to have everybody play the game. And for the league that I was in, they wanted you to manage, everybody gets a fair chance to play. If you have X amount of players, you had to literally structure and everybody got to play a fair amount of time. Depends on how many players you had. Very challenging. As a coach, I used to spend a lot of time prior to the game trying to figure out who I could put in the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter that would be my strengths and my weaknesses. And that's very tricky if you're a coach, with having to rotate your good players and your bad players. Well, for my assistant, I said, I want you to make note of every player that plays X amount of quarters in time, and that's your job. So every game, she would sit there, unbeknownst to the other team, she would sit there and she would make note of every player and amount of time they were in. And so we were in a major game, which was going to be, was a playoff game. And at the end of the game, my assistant came up and said, the coach's daughter violated the rules. They beat us only by a point. And his daughter was the key person that beat us. So my assistant was livid. So she went to the actual scoreboard, the people that keep the scoreboard of the game, and she went to the refs, and she showed on how that coach's daughter, he abused the policy of fair play time. And all it was a blank stare on his face, a blank stare on the ref's face, a blank stare on the actual people that keep score. You know, it's it's more in depth than you realize till you start coaching youth sports. It is. It's very challenging because you get a lot of emotions, a lot of people revved up. So all they said was, if you can prove this, then you're going to have to contest this game, and you're going to have to go to the league, and we're going to have to get the league involved, and blah, blah, blah. And so, I mean, I felt in some ways bad for the other guy because I caught him red-handed. And this was a very successful, kind of well-known guy. And so, there he is kind of looking at me, looking at him, and I'm just like, here's Pandora's box. And so for me, my assistant was so mad because she wanted me to attack this guy and force the hand that would take him out of being a future coach, and that would in some ways reverse the game. And, for me, it's like, oh my gosh. So I just said to myself, you know what? If you have to cheat to be better than me, then that tells me a lot. I'm better than you. And that's how you have to start to stop and think of life, is if you have somebody that has to cheat on you, then the reality is they're not better than you. You're better than them. That's just kind of the way life plays out. Who doesn't know the story of Tom Brady? I got to get upstairs here. My arm's getting numb, holding this phone. My hands are freezing. Sincerely, you hear wow, it's cold out here. And I'm sure people are like, I'm going to get seasick or car sick from you walking back and forth in your garage. Hey, come on, let's go. Get up here. What's Kiefer doing now, right? The dog that always an adventure. What have you cheated on up here on me now? Amazing. Nothing's been eaten. Oh, that's a good thing. Dogs are all, hey, he's acclimating, hopefully. But it's cold. On this Friday morning of the cheater conversations, be interesting to hear some people out there that this talk, because I think every one of us can relate. Who didn't have, a marriage? Who didn't have their first, my first real girlfriend? Oh, it was devastating. She cheated on me. Yeah, it was the worst. And I even witnessed it. I caught her red-handed. So, who doesn't know these stories? Yeah, why is half the country divorced? Yeah, we know. We understand that. Why do some people never want to go to a car dealership? Because they feel like they're going to be cheated. Some people just despise the idea of taking their car to a dealership to be worked on. Why do some small shops get the business because they have such a personal relationship where the person feels that person's not going to cheat on them. That's huge. But think about Tom Brady. Does anybody remember the Colts and the Patriots game where supposedly Tom Brady on that rainy day or something, cold rainy day, the Colts claimed that Tom Brady deliberately deflated the footballs so he could get a better grip of the football. I mean, and once again, I could be a little off on some of the stuff I share with people, but I think anybody else out there that knows this can always email me or in the comments section say, hey, guess what? This is really what's going on. And this is really what happened. But yeah, Tom Brady, he was suspended for like 2 or 3 games. Remember, they were demanding to see his cell phone because the rumor was he was texting back and forth with the ball boy guy. Whoever knew the ball boy guy would be such a critical part of the game during that Colts-Patriots game. And it was a playoff game. And I think it was there in New England, if I remember right, good old Tom Brady. So the whole point was that the Colts sincerely felt that Tom Brady cheated to win that game by changing the pressures in that football. And then wasn't it here? Okay, so then Jim Harbaugh? Is it Jim or John Harbaugh? He just got kicked out of Michigan because he supposedly had people going to other football games. And this is no lie. I used to witness when I was coming down the end of the season to come to the playoffs with just youth girl basketball. I used to witness other coaches come to the game to watch how I ran the game. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I give them credit. So is it Jim Harbaugh? I can't see. It's Jim and John, the 2 brothers. The Harbaugh guy in Michigan, he got canned in some ways, for the most part, for having people go and video other teams' plays. Where apparently he'd have a guy sitting in this. I mean, once again, I'm not attuned to every fine detail of all these claims. So if somebody else has more information, just share it. But the whole point is, Harbaugh is now the coach of the San Diego Chargers. Why? I mean, if you know his record with Michigan, he was an incredible coach. But then at the end, he was being called out for cheating to be able to win games. So, and then it's a no-brainer. The guy could stay in Michigan and sit out half a season of being penalized, or he can move on and go to the San Diego Chargers and make a boatload of money and maybe meet his brother again in Baltimore one day in a key game. Does anybody remember that game? Do you remember the 49ers? Jim and John met in the 49ers and the Baltimore Ravens. Was that such a great Super Bowl? The 2 brothers. And Baltimore beat San Francisco, and then shortly thereafter, he went back to coaching the college people. So it's in sports, as people know, gambling. I mean, it's huge. The cheaters. But now, kind of go through all that, and now, so for us as individuals, I mean, do you feel like you're being cheated more than ever in what's going on around us in our society? I mean, sincerely, do you just feel like, wow? I mean, it's just incredible on how people are rationalizing all the things that are so wrong with what is happening in this country. But people just rationalize that it's okay. That I've talked about it numerous times. That the district attorneys have raised all the criminal punishments for you to be actually penalized for stealing things, to smash and grab. I mean, but people just rationalize that, those people deserve it. We know AOC, she thinks that people going and looting stores is okay. It's an okay thing to do because the poor people need food and have to be able to survive. So for all the rich people, just let everybody steal everything. What's the big deal? I mean, it's beyond unbelievable. And people support this type of mentality. That's what I was saying very early in this conversation is the underlying message today more than ever is that you've been cheated. And since you've been cheated, you have the right to go do things to others and take things from others. Yes. That's a subliminal message that's being presented by, sadly, in our country more than ever. I'm sure it's probably in other parts of the world, but wow, as far as you and I, citizens of this country, we're witnessing the support of cheating like never ever seen. That people just feel like, what's the big deal? What's the big deal all these illegals come into our country and live off of the tax system, the healthcare system, and get the right to vote, whether they're legal, illegal. The list goes on and on and on, and they can do things. And what are the consequences for them versus for you and I? It's a whole different ball game. How is that fair? Do you feel cheated in that aspect, that a legal can come do things and not have to pay the consequences, but you and I, as a sitting citizen, will have to pay the consequences? Isn't that just cheating like never seen? Who elects these people? I mean, sincerely, can anybody help me out? Who's electing these people? And that's where it gets very deep in the rabbit hole, which I won't go there. That's where it goes to Dominion voting. Hey, what's happened to Mike Lindell of the Pillow Man that was making all these claims about what Dominion voting did, right? I mean, where is he? Has anybody heard what? Does anybody know the status of Mike Lindell lately that was on hell-bent on being sued now for billions of dollars for defamation, misinformation? I mean, I don't know. But in his views, he felt like the system cheated. But big time. Yeah, once again, that's a rabbit hole I won't go down on my channel because it'll just probably get a strike against it, but it blows me away. I get on YouTube and I see like Fox News and all these other major networks that just publish incredible negative and just in some ways, borderline violent information. And those guys don't get shut down. But on my channel, I can promise you, I start kind of getting deep into some of this comments, it's going to get a strike against me. So I'm not going to do it. It's not worth it. Anyways, I think everybody gets the message this morning. We live in here's the thing. To kind of wrap it up, we live in probably the highest time of cheating more than ever in our lifetime, of mankind's lifetime, because of all the technology. All the cybersecurity, all the cyber hacks, all the people's identity is stolen, people's checking accounts are hacked. And then here we are with TikTok. What is the main concern of TikTok? Is that China is cheating on TikTok, that's stealing everybody's information and is using it to their advantage to continue to help them become the bigger guy than us. So what's the main, focus and focal point is it's the cheaters. That TikTok supports cheating on our own country like never seen. And that gets into, long and heavy. So wrapping it up, yeah. We're at the highest level of cheating ever in our life. And what's artificial intelligence can do besides help people cheat on how to get through school, which I know that's very strict in college and, all this other plagiarism and blah, blah, blah. But artificial intelligence, I think in the end, will be the biggest cheater of mankind than ever known. I think it'll play out that way. And it's just going to be, right. What are you going to do? Right? What are you going to do? Hey, suck it up, Buttercup. Hey, as always, thanks for watching my channel. What's next? I don't know. What's in Jen? I think the Z06 today. Got to go do a job. I'm going to pick up the Z06. I'm going to get the splitter thing kind of figured out. And there it is. So as always, thanks for watching my channel. It's long. I get it. It's in depth. And either you like the intellectual conversations or, as one of my subscribers says, he'd rather see my daughter on the channel and see her ride motorcycles, and that's more entertainment. And I get that, and that's fine. There's no criticism to you as an individual. I get it. I understand. So anyways, hope everybody has a great day. And here's my dog. Here's Kiefer getting ready to eat my peace pipe. My peace pipe that I got as a kid in New Mexico. He's ever eating my peace pipe. I gotta oh my gosh, it just doesn't end. Everybody, God bless. Have a great day. Stay tuned. Something's always up. You know that. Come on.